Good evening. The regular meeting of the March 18th, 2019 TISD Board of Trustees meeting will come to order. Our first item on our agenda is declare a quorum, which we do have. The second item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would everybody please stand?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Item 3 is public forum. Marilyn, do we have anybody signed up tonight? Okay, so no one has signed up to speak. All right. Item 4 is superintendent's recognitions. Christine Parks.
And I know Mackenzie left, but I do want to make a comment. We just recognized 2 pioneers of Temple ISD. We will never have another Mackenzie Hughes. She is the first, I know that because that program's only been around 8 months, and not only the first state qualifier, but first female, and then Carly Moore, obviously, the first female appointment that we have had in the school district. So historic night for Temple and student success, and wish you both the best and congratulate each of you on your achievements. Thank you.
Our next recognition is it's not new to Temple ISD, but again, it's a program that we are very, very proud of. And March is National Athletic Training Month, and it's held every March in order to spread awareness about the important work of athletic trainers. The 2019 slogan is ATS's are healthcare. Athletic trainers are healthcare professionals who collaborate with physicians and specialize in the prevention, emergency care, diagnosis, treatment, and rehabilitation of injuries and sports-related illnesses. The athletic trainer is the healthcare system for athletes, and other athletic trainers are on site. Excuse me. They work with patients to avoid injuries. They're there when injuries happen, and they provide immediate care, and they rehabilitate patients after injuries or surgery. It's a continuum of care. They know their patients well because they are at the school, in the theater, or on the factory floor every day. In honor of National Athletic Training Month, Temple ISD would like to recognize TISD athletic trainers, Coach Wendy Skrabonic, who will then introduce the rest.
Good evening, Dr. Ott, members of the school board, and TISD administration, and the public. We are here to acknowledge our athletic trainers that work on our actual staff first. We have Coach Prentice in the back, Coach Palmer, and Coach Leffner. So they're all our staff athletic trainers that help aid in our athletic injuries and treatments and preventative care from middle school up. The next that we get really excited about is our athletic training program that involves our students that put in numerous hours each week. They're here before school starts. They stay afterwards till it's dark. Some of the last people to leave the school, so we're very honored to have them. So we'll start with them. We have one of our seniors here tonight, Kaylee Milligan. We'll let her, but you can save your applause till the end. She's a senior, though. We'll give it to her. Next, we'll start with Nakota Lara, Jayliana Matthews. Sierra Neely is traveling with our baseball team tonight, so she is gone. Kylie Seastrunk, Ariana Cruz, Ali Garcia, Desiree Harden, Elena Sorge, Taylor Yepes, Davion Howard, Jasmine Martinez, Kaylani Moore, Rosa Perez, and Abigail Rivera. We do have a few that were not able to be in attendance with us because of other circumstances. So Kiana Gaines, Janae Jackson, Maria Elena Officioco, and Sierra Rains. So this is your 2018-2019 athletic training students that go above and beyond, not only in the athletic area, but also they have to uphold their academic achievements as well. So staying on their grades while traveling with our teams. They start in August, and we pretty much finish at the end of May. So they're here for 3 weeks before school starts. So we're very excited about them. We have some action shots going, and then we just have a quick presentation that we'll just show you so you know a little bit of what some things they've done, and they were actually the ones that put together this Google slide presentation. So, and I'll be brief so that way you don't have to listen to me too long. So, like we said, it is National Athletic Training Month. You can go ahead. Oh, do you want me to do it? So these are what we just talked about, kind of just a brief introduction. We are blessed this year with Dr. Little came in and did Stop the Bleed training throughout the whole high school, and our athletic training students and Stuco work together to help do all that training for all of our students in the high school. So it was neat to have them work with our healthcare providers that came in. And then also you can see a picture in the bottom right. That's us with the Belton athletic training staff and then all of our Baylor Scott and White orthopedic department. So we're very blessed to have the coverage with our orthopedic doctors. This is just some basic things talking about the importance of athletic training. So we're kind of just in between that aids to help athletes, you know, maybe help to keep them from having to make that doctor's appointment, things like that, so we can help them recover and be 100% healthy on the field. Rehabs, treatments of injuries, just talks about the different things. This was really neat for the kids to kind of put together. We did a presentation with the SHAC committee and just different things. We have contests going throughout this month. Just other competitions with other schools going through Twitter and different things, just having them challenge just to kind of help promote the profession of athletic training. So these are some things that's probably the most interesting because this is the true kids feedback. So I'll let you look through some of those, but just the values of being a ATS. So different things that they come up with, whether, you know, we're preparing every day with AED and water bottles, or the most important things, you get some life lessons. So teaching you proper time management, organization, being professional. So it's really neat to get the students' input on that, so that way you're seeing what they're getting out of your program than just being the athletic training part. Fun thing is doing different college trips. We try to do these throughout the year, usually in the springtime if time allows. So these are some places we've gone in the past. So it kind of just shows them something at the next level if they prefer, or just looking at the school as an educational standpoint, or actually being in an athletic training program. So it gives them a good insight of the different industries and places that athletic trainers can be employed. Y'all saw that? So this is probably my most interesting slide, and I know it's really hard because it's really small, but these are some things that we've come up over the years of the first year we put this together in 09. We did approximately 4,800 treatments that year. Your average cost if you went to a PT clinic or chiropractor, different things, it kind of shows you that cost savings that those athletes are just walking into the training room, receiving those same type of services every morning. We start at 7:30. So you can see last year's, and then already at this year, as of February, we had already had 6,200 treatments. So we're allowed, due to our athletic director and assistant athletic director allowing us to get new equipment and trying some new things to really try to make sure that we're helping everything we can do in the aid and prevention of our athletes' care. So it's just a neat little slide to kind of see how things have even changed from 09 to what treatments you were doing to maybe some different type of things. So and so that's it. We just want to thank you very much for allowing us to recognize our students. Thank you to our athletic director, Coach Stewart. He does a great job of totally supporting us and being very supportive of our students, as well as Coach Prentice as well. And then we have our wonderful athletic secretary, Claudia, that definitely takes care of them to make sure they have little snacks and treats when needed. So, but at this time, we have a gift for our school board members, so if y'all want to take and give them one. I know it's not cold today, but it will be one day again, I'm sure. So, probably tomorrow. But thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. A huge shout out to Coach Palmer. She just started in January here with us, so a big welcome to Temple, and kind of just welcome her to the family. So thank y'all very much.
And you know, when you walk around, Wendy, and you talk to some of our high school athletes, and they talk about how much time they put into one or two sports, you know, because they want to be the best they can be. How about the group of students that are putting time into all sports, boys and girls? That's this group right here. I mean, they are spending limitless amounts of time. And it's no secret that we have a lot of success in the athletic programs in Temple, but I will tell you this is a big reason why right here. So congratulations to our students, Wendy, you, Steve, and your staff. Scott, appreciate Claudia, appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you.
Next, we would like to recognize our school nutrition department. Ian, if you would come forward. Earlier this year, our school nutrition department participated in the Texas Department of Agriculture Farm Fresh Challenge. And we received a letter from the Commissioner of Agriculture, Sid Miller, and it states, "Congratulations to you and your child nutrition team on your achievement in the 2018 Texas Department of Agriculture Farm Fresh Challenge. Thanks to your school's hard work during the challenge and throughout the year, Texas is a recognized leader in child nutrition." Almost 20% of Texas school districts participated in the Farm Fresh Challenge this year. Your district was one of a few that took the challenge to the highest level and achieved the Best of the Bunch recognition. In addition to teaching children about healthy lifestyles, participating schools spent $2.6 million on Texas products during the challenge. Choosing to buy local foods supports the entire Texas economy by growing jobs and keeping business in this great state thriving. Thank you for your dedication to build a healthier future for the Lone Star State. So on behalf of the district and the Commissioner of Education, thank you. Do you have others here with you? Please, let's, Miss Rick, there's Margaret. Tell Margaret she needs to come. There she goes. Here, please introduce them.
I just want to make sure that everyone knows who our nutritionist is. This is Miranda Rhodes. She really puts all this together, and she's a big driving force behind these programs that we take part in. And then our assistant director, Margaret, and then Natalia is just a big driving force in the office of putting everything together for us. So thank you, ladies. And I thought we had some more out here, but.
Well, thank you guys for being here. Please shake hands with the board. And thank you to the school nutrition department as a whole. They do a great job feeding our 8,600 students every day, and we are so very grateful for what they do. So thank you guys so very much. If y'all don't mind coming right up here in the front to take a picture real quick. Thank you, guys. And now to our final recognitions, but really a first for us this year. We have the opportunity to recognize business partners through TISD, which is the Texas Association of School Boards. Excuse me. And today we are pleased to have that opportunity to recognize our special friends of the school district. The City of Temple has partnered to support Temple ISD in a variety of ways, from partnering with our CTE programs to providing school resource officers for our campuses to planning for infrastructure needs for future growth. In Temple ISD, we know the value of the help we receive from the City of Temple, and we are deeply appreciative of this partnership. We are pleased that the generosity you have shown is now recognized at the state level, and the Texas Association of School Boards joins with us in honoring your valuable support of our school district. So we have a few people from the city with us, City Manager Bryn Myers and Mayor Tim Davis. If y'all would please come forward. We'd like to present you with this certificate and a pen to show our appreciation. I'm going to let y'all walk around me, though, so that you can be up here in the front. And we thank you for everything that the city does for us. We truly feel that the City of Temple is a partner for Temple ISD, so thank you for all that you do.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
If y'all want to hang on to that.
I know Mayor Davis and Mrs. Myers are tired of hearing me brag about the partnership between the city and school district. I think every presentation I give, I do that. But it certainly, when you feel like you're taken care of, thank you. When you feel like you're taken care of, you can certainly dream big, and I think we're doing that as a school district and truly appreciate the city and their partnership. Truly appreciate them.
we have the opportunity to honor a second special partner this evening. The Cultural Activities Center has partnered to support Temple ISD in a variety of ways, from partnering or providing arts and education performances to hosting hands-on exhibits to opening their facilities for our students to perform. We know all that the CAC has done to support us, and we are so pleased that this partnership is now recognized at a state level as well. So Brock is here, Boone from the CAC. If you will come forward, and I believe maybe you have a couple of people with you. So please come forward.
Former President Barb Sorge and our newly hired Executive Director of Development, Mary Lecters.
Wonderful. Come. We like that. Please come forward. We are so grateful for all that you do, and anytime we need something, the CAC is willing to jump in and partner with us, and we are so grateful for your partnership.
We're grateful for you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
I think everyone knows the value that we place on fine arts in Temple ISD and the successes we've had. And, you know, a lot of cities do not have a CAC, and I believe that's a contributing factor.
All right, well, thank you very much. If you're here for the presentations, you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting. But if you wish to leave, that'd be fine too. So, again, thank you all for being here. Item 5 is executive hires. I don't believe, Mr. Palmer, we have anything on the agenda tonight. Okay. Item 6 is the board president's report. The first item, update on the legislative conference held February 26, 2019. And an update will be provided on the TISD legislative conference held Tuesday, February 26, 2019 at the Sheraton Austin at the Capitol. A board member, Ms. Shannon Myers, was there, and she will provide us an update to the board.
Dr. Ott and I both attended that day, and in the opening session, Texas House Speaker Dennis Bonnen asserted that the #1 priority for every House member this session is school finance reform, with the biggest issue being equity. He predicted emphasis on special education training and support, teacher pay, and school safety. The chair of the Senate Committee on Education, Larry Taylor, and the House Chair, Dan Huberty, also spoke of the commitment to make holistic and meaningful changes in school finance this session. They talked about focusing on the needs of lower-income students and providing an incentive to move towards dual language programs rather than bilingual programs. In regards to classroom teachers, they discussed a pay program based on STAR test results and the possibility of using a variety of metrics to incentivize good teachers to teach in difficult classrooms. Using the A through F rating system to pressure campuses to perform was also mentioned, along with the relationship between property tax relief and recapture. Ross Ramsey, editor and founder of the Texas Tribune, expressed his skepticism about any real or transformational changes resulting from the upcoming session. He pointed out that school finance reform solutions vary according to who is asked and can include the elimination of the recapture system, equating state and local portions, refiguring weights for students, and consideration of charter schools. He feels that the real driver is property tax reform, the results of which will have a direct impact on the political relevance and survival of the legislators. President Pro Tem of the Senate Finance and Education Committees, Senator Kirk Watson, spoke of past obstacles to proper education funding, but expressed optimism about the growing understanding of the need to make investments now that over time will save money. He's concerned that the outcomes-based funding will be the focus, and he hopes that legislators will find a way to make investments in today's students instead of tomorrow's test results. He's filed a bill ensuring that funding proportions will stay at 50-50. Representatives from both TAMSA, the Texans Advocating for Meaningful Student Assessment, and Raise Your Hand Texas were there to speak about the public perception of education and the pitfalls of high-stakes exams. A recent poll conducted by Raise Your Hand Texas showed that 99% of respondents were opposed to tying funding to test results. TAMSA said that it will continue to advocate for the elimination of high-stakes exams and insists that state-mandated tests are verified to be grade level appropriate. Texas Education Agency Commissioner Mike Morath spoke of the need to recruit, support, and retain effective teachers. He wants to make the profession more desirable by adjusting compensation and working conditions. His example was the effective educator allotment implemented by Dallas ISD, where they use administrative observation, peer review, student performance, and student surveys to evaluate teacher effectiveness.
Mrs. Myers, thank you. Any questions for you or Dr. Ott, who attended? Anything, Dr. Ott, you'd like to add to that?
I'd say it was pretty thorough. House Bill 3 is the piece of legislation or the bill that's getting the most attention right now. It's the House version of the school finance reform. But we're waiting at this time, and I think most districts are, because this week we should get the runs. We're hearing a lot about the allotments that are added, but there are also allotments that are taken away. And so the best thing you can do is wait and see what the final runs look like and what it actually means for us in terms of revenue. And then at that point, we make the decision to get behind it and so forth. So it's my understanding those runs will be produced this week. So hopefully we'll have some information for each of you that we'll send to you in terms of how it will affect Temple ISD.
All right, thank you. Item B is future items discussion. We have an upcoming board retreat on Friday, April 12th at 8 a.m. here at the administration building.
It's 8 a.m., not 9 a.m. I wrote it on.
Is it 8?
I want to make sure I'm getting it right.
8 to 10.
8 to 10, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Item C is important dates. Dr. Ott?
Okay, well, welcome back from spring break. I think there are a lot of happy parents out there this time. All the students are back in school. March 21st, this Thursday, we have the University of Mary Hardin Baylor Job Fair at 2 p.m. Excited about that opportunity, and I would welcome any of the board members if you want to come. That's certainly fine. March 26th, we actually has another part of the Temple High School college series that they're doing. We have UMHB coming in and presenting at Temple High School Library at 5:30. Just an overall overview of the general admissions process in college. We've had a few universities come in and do presentations as part of this series, and it's been very helpful to parents and students. We also have the Gifted and Talented Parent Meeting for elementary parents at this building, 6 o'clock, March 26th, the same night. Some of you may be wanting to know, what is that going to entail? It's really about how you support your gifted, this microphone's cutting out, how you support your gifted learner transitioning for fifth graders, and then resources for gifted learners as well will be presented. March 27th, we have our policy committee here at 4 p.m. March 28th, we'll go ahead and keep our facilities committee for that day at the same time, 4 p.m. And then as Mr. Posey mentioned, we do have our school board retreat April 12th here, and a couple items that we'll discuss will be district priorities and needs, community survey in May. We'll navigate the new website that launched over spring break. Some of you have had a chance to go through that. And then we'll also tour Western Hills. We have some construction there that we would like to take the board on a tour.
Okay, thank you. Item 7, consent items. The consideration for approval of the following group of items. Approve consent agenda items 7A through D. What is the board's pleasure? To hear these individually, to hear them all together?
Make a motion that we hear them all together.
Motion made by Mr. Gaines. Second. Seconded by Mrs. Davis. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you. The motion passes. Item 8, action items. A, Human Resources. Mr. Palmer.
Good evening, Mr. Posey, Dr. Ott, members of the board. A couple of things. One, the first one is the superintendent's personnel recommendations. You have a list of 3 teachers that we're hiring. Actually, the first teacher is on contract now, working at Bonham, and the next 2, we'd like to get them here, but because we have places for them actually already, but it's going to be hard to get them loose. And Coach and I have both been discussing this even today. So, but outstanding hires. The one thing I would just point out on this, if you notice the certification, these are 3 of the most difficult certifications to find. The math certification, middle school, it's one of our high needs areas. The science at high school, this gentleman's actually teaching chemistry right now in Crosby. And then the third one is a special ed. So these are good early hires for us to have in place for next year. So I recommend these 3 for now.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Palmer? This is an action item. Motion by Dr. Sahni. Seconded by Mrs. Myers. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it. The motion is approved. Thanks.
And I believe my second part,
Yes.
okay, is the assistant superintendent's contract recommendations. If just a little explanation on this, because it got a little confused last year, and it went through a little different than it probably should have, but we were, each one of us are on a 2-year contract. And last year, for whatever reason, Mr. Boyd and I, it showed that our 2-year contract ended in 2021, which actually makes it a 3-year contract. And so because of that, this year, because our contract runs through 2021, there's no action needed from the board for Kent and I. However, we do have the action that you'll be taking will be a 1-year extension on Lisa Adams and Eric Hagelberg's contract. And I will say under proposed contract, everyone will be under a 2-year non-certified. There's a couple places where it says no action, but those aren't contract types. So we need to make a correction there that says 2-year non-certified unless Kent just takes no action for 2 years. But any case, and the last one would be, I'm sorry, the last one would be, all these are 2-year non-certified contracts, all 3 of them. So, but the board will be voting only on Ms. Adams and Mr. Hagelberg. Make sense? Maybe.
Any questions of Mr. Palmer? This again, this requires an action item, requires a motion.
Move for approval.
Motion by Mr. Gaines. Second by Dr. Sahni. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Same sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Motion is
And
approved.
these will all end on June 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Item B, curriculum instruction. Lisa Adams. Okay. Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Posey, members of the board, and Dr. Ott. Back in November, the board received 2 items and approved those 2 items with regard to the adoption of resources for English and Spanish language arts and reading. And those were both the committee members to select the adoption resource and also the timeline for our process for adoption. And so since that approval, Dr. Jenowitz and I have followed that timeline, and we have given our committee members an opportunity to review those resources, and we've also had an opportunity for our vendors to come in and share those resources with the committee members so that they can make the best decision for our students.
All righty, so in your board book, we have our recommendations from our committee members who voted. So we would like to take action on the English and the SLAR for K through 5. We have your 6 through 8 English language arts. Elementary has some other components. We have handwriting for K through 5, and we also have spelling 1 through 5.
Any questions? This does require a motion. Motion by Ms. Suarez. Second by Ms. Davis. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
C, Finance and Facilities, Mr. Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Posey and Board. Thank you for the opportunity tonight. I bring to you two items. First is certification of unopposed candidates for school board. As you know, the deadlines for filing for both a place on the ballot and for writing candidacy have both passed. And so the only individuals who we had apply for places on the ballot were Virginia Suarez in District 1 and Shannon Gowan in District 6. So tonight we bring that certification to you and ask for your consideration in approving that list of unopposed candidates for would be for the May 4th, 2019 election date.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. This does require a motion. Motion by Mrs. Myers. Second by Mr. Gaines. All in favor signify by saying aye. The motion is approved. Thank you.
I agree.
All right.
All right.
The next piece goes hand in hand with that action, and that is an order of cancellation of the election that you find also in your packet or in your board book tonight. And by virtue of the fact that both of those candidates are unopposed, we now bring to you the recommendation that the board cancel the election that was scheduled to be on March the 4th. What we will do at that point, if you approve tonight, after we've certified that they're unopposed, and if you approve this tonight, we will then at the board meeting after the election date, we would then have the opportunity to swear in the new board members the same board members, re-swear them in, but we can't do that until that time. But this would be officially canceling the election.
Okay. This does require a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Dr. Sanhi.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The motion passes. Thank you.
Good. Thank you all.
D, Student Services. There's no items tonight for this. E is Board Committee Reports. The Facility Committee update. The meeting was held February 28th, 2019. Mr. Gaines.
Thank you, Mr. Posey. Facilities Committee met on a regular meeting on Thursday, February 28, 2019. There was three items of discussion was properties. The committee discussed the following pieces of property, which are property across from the maintenance facility. Purchase should be closing soon on that. Property on Old Highway 95 for future expansion should be closed soon also. And potential for purchase of property adjacent to Scott Elementary. This item has already been presented tonight for consideration. So, also the Wildcat Stadium lights. It should make our coaches happy here. The committee received a report they're planning to replacing all of the lights at Wildcat Stadium. Most of the existing lights and infrastructure is the original stadium construction in 1965. Although the lights were replaced in 1997, nothing else has been upgraded. The current light levels are below UIL recommendation standards and are considered lower than many of the stadiums in our area. In addition, the existing equipment is both outdated and insufficient. Tonight, the administration will be presenting a proposal to replace all of the lighting and poles and upgrade all related electrical services. The swim center, the committee discussed several options for improving of the Temple High School Swim Center. All of the options include refurbishing the pool's infrastructure as well as new restrooms, locker rooms, lights, and ventilation, and other improvements. Beyond the scope of each of these, other options vary in the amount of location and additional square footage, amount of spectator seating, and exterior facet chosen. The team will develop plans to address the committee and provide future updates. project update. The committee has given updates on the auto tech, fine arts, SPED improvements, and Temple High School, as well as projects at Scott, Western Hills, Travis, and Lamar. Our next facility meeting will be held on March 28th at 4 p.m. here at the administration office. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gaines. Any questions? Our next item is consideration for approval of THS Wildcat Stadium lighting. Mr. Boyd?
Thank you, Mr. Posey. And as Mr. Gaines reported a while ago, just now, that we want to bring you this proposal tonight. And I want to first start by saying I appreciate all the work that Steve Prentice has done on really getting a lot of this organized, and also Ken Wolf, because this is while this certainly represents what we propose to you tonight, certainly would represent an improvement in what people see during games. And certainly at that level, it's an improvement. There's some significant electrical upgrades, safety upgrades, and code upgrades that are also a part of this tonight. So what we'd like to bring to you, and again, it's been a group effort, and I appreciate everyone's participation in this. What we'd like to bring to you tonight is a proposal that we bring from Musco Lighting. Okay. I'm just going to stand over here a little bit. As was reported earlier, current light poles were installed with metal halide fixtures back in 1965 when the stadium was built and the high school was built. I'm a 65 model also, and sometimes you need some improvements. So I understand that. There was a center light pole that was added in '96 when that stadium was enlarged and the press box was built. But other than that, very little has been done through the years to that system. Currently, we have 80 light fixtures involved, so that'll be relevant here in a minute. Interesting, I think, that you look at this, the light levels in 2009, the average foot candles were 30.8 foot candles and a uniformity of 1.8 to 1. And those numbers really don't mean a lot without a point of reference. Notice by September of 2018, our average foot candles were at 25 and uniformity was 1.7 to 1. In fact, over time, the lighting levels have declined, and that's a normal analysis that you would have like this. And the uniformity has degraded a little bit too. The standard uniformity for sports fields recommended is 3 to 1. You can see we're almost half of that. And the UIL recommended minimum foot candles for a stadium like ours is 50. And so you can see we're basically at half of that number right now. Maintenance costs, this is something that through the years, I won't go through all the numbers, but it's costing us about $3,500 a year to replace and repair those bulbs. That is not something that our maintenance department can shimmy up a pole and change. That is something that we have to get people out to do that, and that is an expensive endeavor and a challenge. So that's something that we have to deal with. Again, we've not totally revamped the stadium, and we know it at least 25 years and maybe before that, but that's as far back as we could go. So metal halide fixtures are the ones that we have, and those are the ones that you start, and it takes a while for them to get going, and takes them a while to come on. And so LED fixtures are certainly the way to go now, and that's why that is something that was not really practical a few years ago, and that's why we've kind of intentionally waited. Well, that, and it's expensive, but also we've intentionally waited until that LED capability became something that we could incorporate, and so now we can. LED fixtures are going to be able to control much more precisely. They'll be, and they're going to provide optimal lighting, which should minimize injuries and just give us a much better look. If you know from looking at our tennis courts, those are new LED lights, and if you've paid attention to what those look like relative to our football, baseball, softball, all the other lighting, there's a noticeable difference. Also, the controls are much more up to date. Steve can control those on his phone basically now, as opposed to going on and flipping everything on by hand. So something we want to show you, I think I can do that. You can do that. I don't think I can. This is kind of interesting. So you're controlling it, right? You're at the wheel. So notice, if you will, this is a high school in Arizona, and if you see on the left, those are the LED lightings from Musco. If you see on the some other older fixtures. And notice, if you would, Christine, move that little deal in the middle across. It's kind of fascinating to see the difference. And notice not only is the light level so much greater on these newer LEDs, but notice the light poles don't have near the glare. So you're putting out a much better and more concentrated light without the light pollution and the glare that you get. And if you even notice on highways now, a lot of the newer fixtures that they're putting on I-35 are the LED, and they have a much more concentrated light but less of a glare than the older ones, and that's all part of what this is. So that just gives you kind of an idea of where we would propose that we move to. In looking at this, we've gone to Musco and looked at a structure description that would give us 70-foot candles. If you remember, we're right now at about 25. The state says you should be at a minimum of 50. This would put us ahead of the game and certainly give us a premier situation to light. If you're going to do it and you're going to go to the effort of doing this, you might as well do this at an appropriate level. So that would be all new poles, bases, everything. It would be 94 lights. Well, I didn't do that right. Can you help me? I can't. I'll talk while you help me. So what that does is this allows us an opportunity to improve, and when we talk about changing this out, all of the poles would be taken down, all new poles would be installed, all new lighting, all new electrical upgrade. And again, why that is so significant is because we have some old electrical panels that are original that today would not even meet code. And so again, it's a significant improvement in not just the lighting, but in our entire electrical structure that we have over there. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it's a remote control system that 24/7 customer support, and that gives us a lot more ability to control what's going on there. A couple of other things, warranties. This was very important to us. The part that was the most important was that our maintenance costs, we would be guaranteed for 25 years to have them control and fix and repair anything that's needed. And that's a significant warranty period. So that, if you think about that $3,500 we're paying right now per year, well, that goes away for at least the next 25 years. So
Kent, how much was that again we're paying per year?
about $3,500.
$3,500.
About what we pay per year to
Okay.
replace lights. So that's significant savings right there that the district, a cost avoidance we won't have for a long, long time. Again, safety, it's huge, and that's one of the critical reasons that we're looking at doing this. Much better visibility, maintenance costs, energy consumption is usually about 50 to 85% less with LEDs. And we know that for a fact because we've already been looking at Thornton, for example. Our Thornton Elementary School has all LED lighting, and you can certainly tell by looking at electric bills now how much significance that has, and that helps you. There's some other things going on there too that help with the HVAC system and that we have at Thornton, but this is definitely a cost-saving measure too. And then environmental, I did not know it reduced carbon dioxide emissions. So I don't know what that does for us, but I do know it eliminates light spill. I know what that means.
Can you say they started at a 70-foot candle? Is that consistent and last for how long? Do you know how long that lasts?
I think it's a 25-year guarantee. It'll be at that level.
For the LED, you get the 70, they're going to guarantee the 70-foot candles for 25 years.
Okay.
With the metal halide, as soon as they start to burn, you start to lose foot candles, so you can't guarantee a light level with metal halide lights unless you completely lose them out.
So the guarantee, the 25-year guarantee was huge for us, and that was something too. We could have left the poles in place and they could have relamped those, but the guarantee would have been 10 years, I think. And we thought, man, do it all new to get a 25-year guarantee, and they remove everything existing and replace it with all new. And like we said, that really sets up the district well for the long term. Again, the electrical infrastructure, as we talked about, that's going to meet current local and state codes, which would put us in a good, certainly in good stead there for the years to come too. Just a timeline of where we've been. We met with Musco, with Steve Prentice, Dr. Ott, and Ken Wolf and myself, and discussed this back February 5th. On the 19th, Steve made this presentation to the assistant superintendents. He brought that also forth to the facility committee, so those of you on the committee saw this on the 28th. And so tonight, we want to bring it to you for consideration. If you all approve the project tonight, we would go ahead and order materials immediately. Work would begin in May. We'd be completed in June, and we would organize that and certainly work through that and organize that around the end of school and everything else that we have going on. Might add that as we have in the write-up, this money does not come out of fund balance. It comes out of the current year budget in unexpended funds that were budgeted for statutory minimum expenses that some years the state has required us to pay, some years you don't. And there's enough money there, it's almost identical what is there in the budget that would be able to pay for this project. We have one of the budget amendments that was listed tonight also would move the money out of those accounts into the correct account to allow us to expend that if you approve it this evening. Do you all have any questions for me or questions that either Ken or Steve or Coach could answer also about this?
Any questions?
I mean, have we missed any?
We need to use the, I'm sorry.
Have we missed any renting the stadium out or anything because of lighting? Have we lost any revenue because of that before in the past? Do we know?
That, yes, that has been a concern with teams that wanted to rent the stadium, lighting, and then the day games. Most of them won't play in the day because the field runs east and west, and most run north and south, so the sun's in your face. So then you have, they prefer a night game, and then those who, they start making phone calls about our facility.
So we pick up some additional revenue there then?
We would like, and I'll say really the efforts over the last 3 or 4 years in improving the field house and the locker rooms and then replacing the turf and now with the lights, all of that together just makes us a much more viable option for people. And so hopefully that kind of moves us to the front of the line.
That's football, soccer, and track, so it's not
Yeah.
just
Gotcha. Well, band uses it to practice. They have early morning soccer practices and all kinds of practice. It's on quite a lot. So if you have kids in athletics, they're going to use it at one time or another pretty much unless it's basketball. And even then, they may go out there and run sometimes. So it's very helpful.
And just to reiterate, this money is already budgeted, so it's,
Yes, sir.
money's already in the budget.
Yes, sir. It is in the budget. The amendment simply moved it from the account where it was going to be unexpended into an account where we could expend it properly for this. But you are correct. That's right.
And I think the state notified us in October, Callan, that we didn't have to pay the statutory
Yes, sir.
minimum for TRS. And as Kent said, it's almost a dollar for dollar budgeted amount. And I think for me, I'm really looking at it big picture. The district's been very deliberate in the past several years in terms of what they've done for certain programs like CTE, fine arts. I mean, that's currently going on right now. And CTE, fine arts, and athletics, and I would say advanced academics are our 4 premier programs in Temple ISD. And this is just part of the maintenance of it. When you need to upgrade your track once in a while, that has a life, a shelf life to it. Your turf has a shelf life. Your gym floors have a shelf life. Your stadium lights, which we have absolutely gone the distance on the shelf life for the stadium lights, considering 1965 was the last. So we have a lot of those needs in all of our programs, and we've really addressed several of them in fine arts and CTE and previous bonds, a little bit on the athletic side, but this is an opportunity, a budget neutral opportunity to upgrade that particular item on the athletic side.
And I might also add, Dr. Ott, too, that this isn't something that once we found out we had some unexpended budget money, we thought we'd just jump out and do. This was on our long-range plan, and it was something that we were actually planning to do, and it was not a bond project. We knew that, so we knew at some point over the next couple of years we were going to have to find a way to fund this. So this was the opportunity that moved it really to right now. But it's important to note this has been part of the long-range plan for the last couple of years and something that we knew was a maintenance item and an item that needed to be addressed sooner rather than later. So we'd been planning this for some time.
Thank you. Members, do you have any questions, Mr. Boyd?
I want to
Yes.
ask one thing. I like the idea of following the UIL guidelines or being within, because I'm sure they are set for student safety. Is that usually
Yes,
the goal?
absolutely.
And we don't want students to get hurt. Does a district that doesn't meet the guidelines, do they ever have increased liability because they do not meet those standards? Do you know? If someone does get hurt,
I would say probably the liability aspect from a legal I'm just going off what I would think. You'd probably be limited on that because the school's pretty limited in liability exposure per se. I would think from a legal standpoint, but certainly the word can get out there and there can be a real concern. I know when we changed out the turf, we got feedback from some other school districts that said, thank you for replacing that turf because we didn't want to come play there anymore. That was kind of an eye-opener, but they said, man, your turf was rough and it was abrasive. I would dare say there would be schools that while they might not say that, they're thinking, boy, I'd be glad when they replace those lights. Or they'll say it. And that's because it is, so technically a liability I'm not sure about, but certainly from a competitive, and I don't mean competitive advantage, just a safety and overall ability to play a game, whatever game that is, or practice in something that is that adheres to standards is certainly advantageous, and people notice, and your competitors notice too.
And on that kind of thing, usually if UIL receives a concern from somebody about our facilities, normally UIL contacts us and encourages us to take a look at it and make sure we're meeting their guidelines and this and that. I don't know if they can force our hand completely, but they're pretty good at communicating with us and urging us to make sure we're following what they've recommended.
And you just don't want to obviously be even getting that phone call from UIL.
Right.
So it'll be nice to move past that possibility.
and does this setup only affect the field, or does it affect, the lighting behind the field at all? Do you know is this just for the field?
Light, uniform, we get a smooth uniform lighting of everything inside the stadium. The track, big better hits, we'll eliminate those dark spots in the corners of the track. Soccer has some real dark spots because of the size of their field. Real soccer plays there now, in the corners where corner kicks take place, it's all course is dark. It will change the lighting for the fans, it will change some of that. And it will focus more of that lighting on the track and the playing surface and decrease some of the lighting. But they assured us that they'll take care of all the safety issues and make sure that the seatings look well enough too.
Any further questions? This item does require a motion. Motion by Mrs. Davis.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gaines. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The motion passes. Thank you very much. Item 2, Policy Committee update, meeting held on February 27th, 2019 at 4 p.m. Mrs. Davis.
A brief update on current legislative issues was given. At the time of the committee meeting, only a few bills had reached the House and Senate Education Committees. One bill earmarks 50% of the state budget for public education, regardless of property tax rates and formulas. Another bill gives a $5,000 raise for teachers, but specific details have not been agreed upon. A third includes additional training for various staff. Dr. Ott also mentioned that some additional future bills will include compensation and safety. CW Local, the policy regarding the naming of facilities, was reviewed and discussed. Dr. Ott mentioned this would be a good time to review the process because in the next couple of years, we will be potentially opening a new school. The authority to name a school rests with the board. Recommendations for changes to this policy will be discussed at a future board meeting. Mr. Hogeberg gave a brief review on the policies to be reviewed at tonight's board meeting. Also, TISD Board Policy Update 112 was given to the committee to review. This update will be reviewed at the next meeting. The meeting adjourned at 5:23 p.m., and the next meeting will be March 27th at 4 p.m.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. Any questions? Item B is board policy review.
Good evening. And for tonight's March Madness of board policy, we will be reviewing 8 short policies dealing with the board's internal organization and policy structure. For the opening tip-off, BDB legal and local outline internal committees. Legal policy gives the board the authority to establish committees to facilitate the efficient operation of the board. If the committee includes less than a quorum of board members and is only advisory in nature, their meetings aren't subject to the Open Meetings Act. If the committee has a quorum and has control over public business or policy, then these meetings are subject to the Open Meetings Act. For a committee to be able to vote and transact business, the board has to grant the committee specific authority, and then the committee must report their action to the full board at the next regular board meeting. According to our team's starting lineup and roster, we have 2 standing committees, the Policy Committee and Facilities Committee. These committees have not been given formal authority from the full board to conduct business transactions or policy changes on their own, but their role is to gather information, to discuss issues, and to report their findings to the board with recommendations. Even though not always required, we do follow the Open Meetings Act for all these committee meetings, even though they're not required. We still post the agenda and we still record minutes in order to be transparent to our community. Next, BBBDD, legal and local, states that the typical purchasing requirements do not apply for the contract of professional services rendered by an attorney. Also, the district may ask the state's attorney general for assistance with legal matters, but must pay the AG office for any associated costs. Also, individual board members are to have their legal inquiries for the attorney channeled through the superintendent. Next is BDF legal. It outlines the legal requirement for districts to have a school health advisory council, or the SHAC, which was mentioned earlier tonight. It mandates 4 meetings per year, and the majority of the members be parents of students enrolled in the district. Policy states that the board shall appoint at least 5 of these members, and that the SHAC shall submit an annual written report to the board. In review, I'm not sure what form these things have taken in the past, but moving forward, the membership list will be presented each year in the early fall for your approval, and the annual report will be a summer consent item. So those will be happening here in the future. BF Legal and Local deals with board policies. The state, specifically the Commissioner of Education, may approve a waiver of only certain requirements from the Texas Education Code, such as class size, some certifications, the first day of school. When I checked the instant replay monitor, I saw the board approving the District of Innovation Plan, and the need for some of these common routine waivers were eliminated. For example, the district doesn't have to submit the 22-to-1 waiver anymore. And according to the plan, the district may, and it's not our standard practice, but we still look at it as an individual basis. They can have a 23rd student in an elementary class as long as the board is notified within 35 days. And so that's why the administration includes the district enrollment item at each regular board meeting as a consent item. One interesting piece of this group of policies is the idea of severability. Local policy should not be in conflict with federal or state law. If it does, the law takes precedence. However, there is severability, meaning that any portion of the policy that's deemed invalid, the rest of the policy still remains in effect. For example, if the dress code policy prohibits red shirts, green socks, and yellow shoes, but the Supreme Court held that the prohibition of green socks is unconstitutional, then the green socks as part of the dress code is invalid, but the students still won't be able to wear the red shirts or the yellow shoes, so it's taken as pieces. In the case of any discrepancies, a copy of the board policy manual that is in the Student Services Office is the official record, and I'm very confident that the version of the board policy that's on the TISD website is accurate and is the same as what's the official record. But if there are any differences, the one in the office is considered the official one. And lastly, BG Legal states that the Commissioner of Education has developed a board improvement and evaluation tool, and that tool is available for board use if you so choose. And that's the buzzer. Any
Okay.
questions?
Appreciate that. Just want to mention, under the self-evaluation, we did the Strength Finder, I believe it was back in the fall, or late summer, early fall, August, at our board retreat. And if the board wishes to do another type of self-evaluation, please let me know. But we did one already, and if that satisfies. All right, thank you very much. Eric, I guess you have to think of something for the April meeting, a theme. You sort of set yourself up now. With that being no other further business, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.